He messed with the wrong driver. An Uber driver turned the tables on an armed criminal, fighting back and possibly saving both his and his passengers' lives. The driver had picked up the passenger from a condo in Aventura, Florida, just before 6 a.m. on Sunday. The two were on a causeway en route to Fort Lauderdale-Airport when a minivan carrying 2 people abruptly cut them off. A man jumped out of the vehicle and aimed 2 guns at the Uber driver, demanding he hand over his belongings. Instead, the driver pulled out his own weapon and fired shots at the suspect. Seeing his accomplice dead, the minivan's other passenger got behind the wheel and quickly drove away. Police later found the vehicle and are reportedly questioning a person of interest. Whether or not it's one of the suspects is unclear. The Uber driver was revealed to have a concealed carry permit and will likely not be charged. His Uber driving days might be coming to an end though, since the ride-sharing app expressly prohibits drivers and riders from carrying firearms when in a vehicle. Here's 7 more stories of crooks getting shot by concealed carry permit holders.
Uber driver shoots gunman who opened fire on a crowd in Chicago. An Uber driver shot a gunman in Chicago after he saw him opening fire on a crowd of people in the city's Logan Square area. On Friday night, the 47-year-old Uber driver was in his car, watching people walking by, when he saw 22-year-old Everardo Custodio start shooting at a crowd of people. The driver, in a spark of heroism, promptly grabbed his gun, pointed it at Custodio, and shot him several times until he hit the ground. Custodio, now in the hospital with injuries to his shin, thigh, and lower back, was charged with aggravated assault and unlawful use of a deadly weapon. The driver, who used a licensed gun, won't face charges because he acted in self-defense and in the defense of others.
Concealed carry permit holder has a little surprise for robbers. A dude in Aurora, Colorado asked a couple of friends to help him move house, and everything was going well until 3 young men armed with a handgun showed up and demanded money. 2 of the movers reached into their pockets for cash, but one of the men reached for something else. The unidentified individual just so happens to have a concealed carry permit, and surprise! The permit holder fired at all 3 suspects, and he's apparently a pretty good shot, as one 15-year-old suspect died on the way to the hospital, one's in serious condition, and the third has a nasty gunshot wound to the shoulder. The local district attorney said no charges will be filed against the shooter because if you have an imminent fear of serious injury or death, you may defend yourself, he said. The 2 remaining suspects are in police custody, and you're probably wondering right now if you should go get yourself a concealed carry permit, aren't you? Come on, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Deputy rescued by good guy with a gun. A man with a concealed weapons license killed a suspect who was fighting with a police officer on Monday morning in Estero, Florida. Deputy Dean Bardez was working a crash on Interstate 75 when a car reportedly drove past him at around 120 miles per hour. According to reports, Bardez chased the reckless driver for several miles in a high-speed pursuit. Things got violent when they stopped. A witness said the driver got out of the car and tackled Bardez. He was allegedly armed. The suspect was reportedly beating on Bardez when an armed civilian ordered him to stop. The suspect elected not to comply with that order, and because of that, the civilian reportedly unloaded 3 rounds into him. Bardez managed to get away from the suspect and was treated at a local hospital and later released. Authorities are trying to determine if the civilian was justified in shooting the suspect. But what's your take? Sound off below and let us know.
Bank robber suspect shot by customer with concealed pistol. A bank robbery in Warren, Michigan was foiled by a customer who pulled out his gun and shot the suspect. Warren Mayor Jim Fouts said the customer was within his rights to use his concealed weapon. On Monday afternoon, the robber, described as a 43-year-old man, held up the bank and demanded money. The bank teller handed over some cash before the robber pointed his gun at a 63-year-old customer, who whipped out his own gun and shot the suspect 3 times, hitting him in both arms and 1 leg. He tried to flee on foot but fell over outside the bank, dropping the bag of money. Police arrested the suspect, who was bleeding on the ground. An ambulance took him to St. John Hospital and Medical Center in Detroit. No one else was injured during the holdup. The customer who shot the suspect is cooperating with police, who say he had a permit to carry a concealed pistol. Local CBS station WWJ 950 tweeted a quote from a witness who said, "I just feel like there's no place to be safe. Here, school, the bank, KFC?" Twitter user Adam R. wrote, "My stomping grounds. Another defensive gun use. Hashtag gun sense. Claims never happens. Hashtag whatever it takes. Hashtag NRA."
Man with concealed carry gun shoots armed robber in the head. A man who attempted to rob a family dollar store in Cleveland was shot in the head by a customer who was legally allowed to carry a concealed gun. Witnesses say the suspect entered the premises around 3 p.m. armed with a gun and tried to rob the place. A customer inside the store with a concealed carry permit pulled out his own gun and told the man to drop his weapon. At that point, a gun battle ensued between the two men. The suspect was then shot in the head in the parking lot, while the man with the concealed carry permit was not injured. The would-be robber was taken to Metro Health Medical Center where his condition is unknown. Police are investigating the incident. Hero shoots Waffle House robber to stop him from getting away. A robber who threatened diners with an assault rifle bit off more than he could chew when he raided a Waffle House near Dallas last week. Before he could escape with his ill-gotten loot, suspect Antoine Cooper was shot in the parking lot by a customer licensed to carry a concealed handgun. Witnesses said Cooper was brandishing an AK-47 when he walked into the restaurant at around 2:30 a.m. on July 7th. The 26-year-old from Dallas allegedly robbed several customers before plundering the restaurant's cash register. But the robber didn't count on one of the customers having a weapon. Police said the unnamed man followed Cooper into the parking lot and called out to the robber. Police said Cooper pointed the AK-47 when he turned around, so the man shot him several times. The man told police he was waiting for his wife to show up and feared Cooper could harm her or others in the area. Cooper remains in the hospital on life support. The man who shot Cooper was not arrested and the case will be referred to a grand jury. Man guns down suspect during failed robbery attempt at McDonald's drive-thru. A robbery in broad daylight went bust after the would-be victim turned out to be a concealed handgun license holder. On Saturday afternoon, a man and his young son were at a McDonald's drive-thru in League City, Texas. An armed robber walked up to their pickup truck and pointed his weapon at the driver, who turned out to be armed himself. Fearing for his and his son's life, the man shot the robber 3 times, striking him in the chest. Responding police took the robber to the hospital where he later died. Despite multiple witnesses confirming the attempted robbery, the case will be referred to a grand jury to determine whether criminal charges will be brought against the driver. See a story that really should be animated? Suggest stories to TomoNews now.